Within this week's tick list, we are in our cameraman's garden because we thought it was going to rain and we didn't want to get wet. And we have tea. We'll be covering Pete Whittaker's multi-pitch E8 crack in North Wales, Sasha Digiulian, Matilda Soderlund and Brette Harrington's second ascent of Rayu 8C in the Picos de Europa, and finally a new E9 from Mat Wright in the Ogwen Valley, North Wales. So Pete Whittaker has made the first ascent of Bar Wars, a 100-metre long roof pitch in the highly esoteric Natalie Zone at South Stack Gogarth. Pete was gifted the line by Big George Smith, renowned new route pioneer and Gogarth and loose rock enthusiast. George is renowned for gifting, aka sandbagging, the next generation, usually drawing them in with an alluring photograph before realising the error of their ways upon arrival at the crag. Of course, Pete Whittaker is no slouch or stranger to such terrain, and instead of being put off, he became embroiled in a multi-year project. Now, on that first occasion, he actually went with George himself, and they managed to repeat the first pitch of which George had put up at E6 6B, albeit with 2 points of rest, without those points of rest. So that was pitch 1 done. The second pitch had to wait until another day, where he enlisted another North Walian local, Callum Musket, who had this to say about the route. On our first visit, he kindly offered me the lead of the first pitch, which he'd already managed to free. I fell off. The second pitch was even worse. Not only was it greasy, but it was also crumbly, sideways, and desperate. Pete shuffled around upside down like a hero for another 15 metres to reach the next belay. I seconded, fell off, swung into space, and had to prusik back up the rope to get back en route. Expletive, hate chimneys. On this second trip, Pete had over 10 kilograms of gear with him, mostly in the size 5 to 6 cam range. A big roof needs big gear and big hands. Pete managed to aid and rest his way along the third and final pitch before fixing a line at its base so that he could go back and work it another day. And as Pete explains, he found it hard to find suitable partners who were willing to both belay and second this route. On what eventually became his 5th visit, he completed that third and final pitch first try. However, he was yet to repeat the 3 pitches in a single push. When Pete went back to the route earlier this week, he was once again faced with the dilemma of who to get to belay him and second him on the route. So he messaged Callum Musket once again, who pretended both on WhatsApp and Facebook that Pete had got the wrong number. However, that doesn't really work on Facebook, and he knew it was Callum. So Callum ended up going out and eventually belayed him on the first successful ascent. Pete had this to say about the route. It helps if you have a good repertoire of crack skills. Although it's certainly not a pure crack climb by any stretch. There are a fair few places where it slightly runs out. However, it's a very safe route in general. For pitch 3, you need a lot of big stuff. 5 number 5s and 4 number 6 cams, plus doubles of other stuff. That's a minimum. Pete said it was a very difficult route to grade as a result of its unorthodox climbing style, with the third pitch ranking as a soft, supposedly soft E8, whatever that actually means. However, what's likely to summarise its severity more succinctly is Callum Musket's appraisal of it being an absolute shocker to second. And we're still impressed by his efforts to get out of belaying and seconding the route. Top work, Callum. Sasha Digiulian, Matilda Soderlund and Brette Harrington have made the second ascent of Rayu 8C in the Picos de Europa. The route was put up in 2020 by brothers Ika and Enko Poo and features 15 pitches over 610 metres of climbing, all at a high standard. The trio swung leads, freeing each and every pitch, but on the crux pitch, both Matilda and Sasha opted to free it independently. Sasha had this to say about the route. Over the course of this expedition, we dealt with a lot of weather, from thunder and lightning storms, heavy rain, getting caught in hailstorms, to inclement hurricane. This sea of clouds that rolled in frequently from the ocean was one of my favourite occurrences of the trip. It's been a wild month. This story is just breaking, so keep an eye on UKC for more details. Over in North Wales, Mat Wright has climbed a roadside project over in the Ogwen Valley. Matt's named the route Eternal Fall and graded it E9 6C. And if the landing of this route was any better, it looks like you could almost do it as a highball boulder problem, except for the fact that the landing is bad, and really bad, hence the name. The route itself looks very Gritstone-esque, being likened to Simba's Pride in the Burbage Valley. It came as something of a revelation that the rock there is actually a form of sandstone. And if you fancy losing 15 minutes of your life to the UKC forums, dive on now to find out more. Matt had this to say about it. I went for a quick walk to check it out and my mind was instantly blown. An immaculate shard of perfect sandstone towering over the river in the Ogwen Valley, literally visible from the road. How had nobody done this before? I stood on top of the boulder and whilst looking down, I was able to see that the landing was really bad. It's a rocky bank that slopes downward from the base of the boulder with protruding edges that are very uneven. My initial thought was that this isn't going to be a boulder problem. Matt estimates the font grade to be around 7B+, font 7C, but once again, the landing cannot be underestimated. It's absolutely awful. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more of me waffling on about routes within the UK and beyond.